We're going to get right into it. I talked about in the opening that kids express themselves differently than we might expect when they feel safe around us. And I had a great example of this. And man, I feel so frustrated about the way that I handled it when our daughter was younger. A couple of years ago, when we still lived back in Texas, my daughter went to daycare. And I would pick her up most days because that was sort of on the way home for me when I was in outside sales, and it lined up pretty well with timing. So I'd go in there and pick her up, and she was kind of sometimes in a good mood, but a lot of times just kind of, ho-hum, or she says hum-hum. And I'd pick her up, and we'd get in the car, and by the time we got to the first stoplight, she would just start bawling. And this went on for maybe a month and a half, not every day, but most days. And she was just bawling, and I couldn't figure out what the deal was. Nothing appeared to be wrong. And at the end of the conversation, at the end of the night, there was nothing bad that happened at school or anything. But my wife said something very profound to me, as she often does, that was her releasing everything that she was holding together at school. She was holding it together all day long. She was away from mom and dad. She was in school, being told what to do, having to learn all this new stuff. And she got in the car, and because she felt safe with dad in the car, and mom too, that she would just let it all go. She would just exhale, and that's what it turned into. Is she just needed that release. She kind of needed to cry, and she got it out of her system. And by the time we got home most days, then it was fine, and we were kind of on our way. But for a few months when that was happening, my reaction to that was to get frustrated. And I never was mean to her, but oftentimes I was maybe short with her, or I wasn't as patient with her because I had just come from a full day of me holding it together and being in front of customers and selling and doing all the things and being on the phone all day and running late to appointments and all of that. So I pick our daughter up, and I'm just trying to get home so I can exhale. And then the entire way home, what am I listening to? I'm listening to her have a meltdown, but it's not really a meltdown. It's her with her exhale. And that got me thinking about something very interesting. What is, or what was, and what is now my exhale? And I think that is something that we probably all could ask ourselves, is what is it that we do, feel, are, be, whatever it is at the end of the day, or whenever time it is, when we need to release, when we need to exhale. I think having inventory of that can inform a lot of where we are in our lives.